Laughing Vikings Live. High vibe chats with actors, comedians, and creators, plus stand-up comedy, sketch comedy, and most importantly, you. That's right, join us every Monday for new episodes, and you can be a part of the show on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, and Twitch. Ask questions and interact in the comments, and make sure to share this with your actor, comedian, and creator friends so they can be a part of the show too. Can't make a live show? No problem. You can catch up on your favorite podcast platform and visit laughingvikings.com to find out how you can join the cast and crew. All right, it's time for today's show. Buckle up and make sure you stick around to the end because we have a special surprise for you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is Laughing Vikings Live. Happy Monday Fun Day. Let's go. Woo-wee! Happy Monday, everyone. How you doing, BK?
I'm doing fantastic, Lars. How you doing?
Oh, man, had a great weekend. It's sunny. It's hot. It's summer here. It's great. We're on fire. We're on fire right now here at Laughing Vikings. I got the captain's hat on. I got my happy shirt on. And I'm here in Comedy Alley, as you can see here. We had great shows. I can see
Chris Robinson is still doing the longest set ever, so that's fantastic.
Yeah, he's being a bit of a stage hog, to be honest with you. I think it was about 6 weeks ago he was on that stage, and he still has not
just
left.
Won't get off.
But you know what? The people love him. So who am I? Who am I to?
We can't stop him when he's on fire.
He's doing it. He's setting records. I think Dave Chappelle had a long 6-hour set, but a 6-week set has topped that. So kudos to you, Chris Robinson.
Yes.
We had a great weekend here at Comedy Alley. Saturday's show was precariously almost going to be canceled due to rain. We had crazy thunderstorms. Just before it happened, I was able to put all of the chairs and everything inside. We had to push it a little bit, about a half an hour. But I was like, I don't like canceling shows. I hate it. I hate canceling shows. I'm a big believer in the show must go on regardless of the reason. But obviously no one's going to sit outside in a thunderstorm. So we put it back half an hour. When people came with their prepaid tickets to the door at the usual time, I was like, go to a neighborhood pub, have a beer for half an hour, come back, and it just cleared. By 9:30, it was clear, and then it was smooth sailing. It was a beautiful night, and ended up being an amazing show on Saturday. So everyone's patience was rewarded, including my own. And if you didn't know, you're looking at me, you're like, this guy, he's got a bit of a Viking in him, and my dad is Zeus. I talked to Lord Zeus, the thunder god, and was like, Dad, I'm trying to do a fucking show here in Comedy Alley. And he listened to me. I was screaming. I was like, enough. Wow.
I can't believe you got through the waiting period. I'm still waiting to talk to Zeus. Fuck.
Well, you're just a friend of his son, though.
That's true. Yeah.
But next time, play that up. Be like, hey, I'm basically head honcho here at the studio. Let him know. Let him know. I don't get a chance to talk to him too much. So,
do you mind if I CC you in that email to Zeus?
It's probably a good idea for credibility. He'll know it's legit. Yeah. It was great. The weekend was great. The Friday before the weekend was my dad's birthday. I was up to visit him. We went golfing. I kicked his ass.
There you go.
Yeah, it's his 79th birthday, and his buddy was like, I can't believe you didn't let your dad win at golf. And I was like, no, I got to give him some incentive to continue with his physio and with his health so that by next year on his 80th birthday, maybe he'll have a chance. But we were actually we were tied. We were tied after 8 holes. We just played 9, and then I beat him by a couple strokes on the 9th. So kudos to me.
Nice.
Yeah, it was pretty great. So we got a great show here today. The other thing we should talk about is we've been having an amazing couple days at the studio. Yesterday on Sunday, we were from 10 a.m. to 11 p.m. We had back to back. I think we had maybe 1 hour gap, or maybe there was a 2 hour gap. Yeah, but it was a ton of great auditions for a lot of really fun TV shows and movies that are being shot in and around the Toronto area. So it was just really good vibes all day long, getting people in and out of the studio. And I think there was a ton of great auditions. And then same thing today. I was, I think 10:30 till 4:30. And our guest, who you're going to meet in a few minutes, our guest was here like an hour ago shooting his auditions for a fantastic feature that's been greenlit that I don't know that we can talk about it too much, but it's a fantastic feature that is sort of set in Toronto, which is nice because there's a ton of shows that are set in Toronto, but really they're using Toronto as New York or Chicago or some big city. But he was filming an audition for one that actually takes place here in Toronto and uses Toronto's locations and doesn't hide the fact that it's Chirana. So that's exciting. Adam Daniel Mazet, what do you say there? Good to see Captain Lars and the BK Broiler lapping up the copious vitamin D on this red letter day. That's right. That's right. I think I got a bit of a tan too. I'm feeling good.
Yeah, even I'm getting a tan, like you can tell. And I burn like fuck. Wow. Yeah.
You're getting a farmer's tan is what you're getting. Let's see that again.
I mean, yeah. But considering I got the short end of the ginger gene where I just burn and my brother with red hair tans, this is nice. This is really nice for me.
And one of the good things is because you don't have red hair, that means you have a soul.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that is nice.
And your brother doesn't.
Well,
he
has to lose out on something.
Soulless ginger. Yeah. All right. Well, I think we don't need to ramble on about anything. Again, we should just let people know, though, if you're watching this right now, share this out with your actor and comedian friends. Stick around to the end. We often do something special where we've got some prizes for you. And you can subscribe on all the podcast platforms. We do this live every Monday. You can watch live on Facebook or on YouTube, wherever you're watching right now. But make sure throughout the show, if you have questions for us or questions for our guests, throw them in the comments and we'll bring those in and make you a part of the show. And visit laughingvikings.com/gift. Gift, if you want to, that'll give you your first self-tape session free here at the studio. So all the actors out there, if you need a hand with a big audition coming up, we'll give you the first one on the house. And what we find is pretty much everyone who does it here, they're like, this is a better way. I'm going to come here. So we're able to do that for people on the first one. And if you want to hit up Comedy Alley, go to laughingvikings.com/Comedy Alley. We have amazing shows this weekend. Maybe we should promo those shows. And that link, if you go to that link, I still got it up there for a little while, but your first show at Comedy Alley, you can get a promo code for 50% off the tickets. So instead of $29, they'll be $14.50. And the thing about these shows is that we should be charging over $100 for them. And if you're like, Lars, $100, you're seeing 4 headlining comedians every single week in a show here. So you're getting a bargain at the regular price. But if it's the first time you've been here, go to that laughingvikings.com/Comedy Alley. You'll get a promo code. Bring some friends. If you got a birthday coming up, you can book a 10-pack of tickets, or you can book the whole Comedy Alley out. Bring your whole friends, and it'll just be you and your VIP crew. No strangers. It can just be you and your friends, your own little bubble in the alleyway. And bring those. Do we have the promo, the pictures for this coming?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So where am I here? We have Jason Allen, Ali Pierce, Jeremy Dobsky, and Nitish Sakuja on Friday, September 3rd, 9 p.m. All of them headliners in their own right. They've done all the festivals Just for Laughs, JFL 42, Halifax, Winnipeg, Moncton, Sault Ste. Marie, Sudbury, Moose Jaw. There's not a city these people have not done comedy in. So it's a privilege to get to host for them. So check them out on Friday. And on Saturday, we got a big one. One of my favorite. I'm going to say it more. Favorite Canadian comedians. The first guy you see there, Mr. Ryan Belleville. Hilarious. So much fun. And you might recognize him. He's a series regular. He's plays Lionel on Working Moms on TV or on Netflix or wherever you watch your quote unquote TV shows. And that's Hannah Lawrence is going to be on the show. Casey Corbin, another great headliner, and Andrew Barr. So you're getting jam-packed 4 headliners for the price of one. And if you take advantage of that 50% off at laughingvikings.com/comedy alley, you're getting 4 for the less than the price of one, for way less. But if you see that right now and you're like, you know what, I'm going to pay full price for that, you don't have to use the promo code, but it is there if you want. So we'll see you Friday, Saturday night for some stand-up shows, pro comedy all weekend long. It's going to be amazing. And I've already looked at the forecast. I think it's smooth sailing. I think we're getting sun I think the next 10 days, just sun. So nice. No more rain. No more rain. It's looking good. Now, let's bring our guest on.
Well, we're gonna introduce him with a clip, right?
Oh, we're gonna do the clip. Okay,
yeah.
Roll the clip.
Roll the clip.
Hey, you guys know the song. Warner Brothers owns the other one, so we can't do it. It's $1 million bucks. Sorry, I was running out of breath. Okay. I am susceptible to peer pressure. I don't know. Look, I'm calling myself out. I'm susceptible to peer pressure. If you guys want me to do anything, just organize a simple majority, and I'll do the thing. 51%, I'll do it. I'm like the Senate. I will do the thing. Peer pressure is the only reason why I've done any drug, because that's enough people. People are cool, and I'm trying to be cool like people. People are cool, right? I'm an alien. People are cool. It's the only reason I've done any drug at all. In fact, peer pressure on my birthday one year is the only reason I did acid and mushrooms on the same day. Yeah, why? Why would anyone do that? Let me tell you though, when you do acid and mushrooms on the same day, it's permanent. So, I'm changed. I'm a different person. I'm a changed man. I am convinced that I can taste and smell colors from a distance now. I'm sitting in the back of a cab, and if the guy doesn't know it's a green light, I'm like, excuse me, it's a ham light. I don't know if you can smell it. It's ham. Let's go. Oh, it's lavender now. Oh, it's Pepsi. You fucked me. I was going to catch a plane. You fucked me. What's going on here? I am... this is real. I don't know if this is relatable at all. Let me try it. Don't do that. Don't try. But I'm gonna do it anyway. I can't ballpark. Does that make any sense to anybody? I can't ballpark. I can't guess how many jelly beans are in the jar. I suffered in silence growing up, and that was really important to me to get. Everyone's Rain Man, and I'm not. I can't. I'm gonna tell my mom that 3,000 people are here tonight. Because I don't get it. It's a spatial aphasia that has only affected me apparently. Cops know. They're like, oh, the suspect's 1,000 feet away. How did they do that? How do people know just? Did a laser shoot out their head and echolocate the guy? I went to an actual ballpark in Toronto. It's the Sky Dome, or it's called something else now. I should know. I don't know why I don't know. And I walked in the actual ballpark, and I'm like, this is a really big room. When the dome is closed, it's a really big room. And I was like, how many people fit in this place? And my friend, he nailed it. He said, he just guessed, 50,000. And I got so mad, I wheeled on him. I was like, you didn't even pretend. You didn't even try. You didn't even pretend. Come on, everyone's Rain Man. I hate it. Coffee doesn't have lids anymore. This is related. It's related. Coffee doesn't have lids anymore. And that's a problem for me with my spatial aphasia. Because what happens is I order a size of coffee, and it doesn't have a lid. And you got to go over here and get the cream and the lid. But look, here's the rub. They have 3 sizes of coffee, but some of these places, put out 6 or 7 stacks of lids. They're trying to flummox me, these guys. I don't know about you, 90% of the time, friends have seen me do this. When I select the lid, I have to take a pulse, and a lot of the time, select the lid that's far too small, because it looks right, but then it disappears right into my coffee. And now, new year, new me, guys. I stir it in like I meant to do it. And I go in the car. And by the way, if you guys want to try that out, get your microplastics in you, they leave a bit of room. They leave just enough room for a bit of cream and 2 lids. I fucked that up. You ever fuck up? I gotta leave the business. I fucked that up. What's happening? I like to drink. Who's drinking tonight? We drinking tonight? Sick. I draw the line at Jello shots. I can drink most anything, but Jello shots, that's it. I'm done. What are we doing adding a middleman? We're chewing our liquor. I don't understand. I'm trying to get fucked up here. I don't understand. People are like, oh, it's because it's fun. Oh, Jello shots are fun. Yeah, liquor is already fun. It's a poison that rearranges your personality, huh? When you feel like it. I don't understand. Imagine if Don Draper, in the middle of a scene of Mad Men, fixed himself a Jello shot instead of a Jim Beam. He's like, wait a minute, Joan, I'm just going to do chemistry, and then we'll talk, you know? You can't make one Jello shot. It's chemistry. You got to, or you got to bake it in some cases. You got to bake it, so you got to make a big batch. And we have a weird thing with shots. I don't know if you guys have that in this. Do you guys have to wait for everyone to come back from the bathroom to do shots here? Or is that just a Canadian thing? I wonder, like, when you get a thing of shots, you have to wait? It doesn't matter. Fuck it, I'm just going to tell the thing. I don't like it. I think it's dumb. I think it's weird. We have to wait for everyone to be around the shot before we can do it. No one can do, don't do the shot! Becca's not back from the bathroom! And then you're doing a Jello. Imagine this. It's Jello shots, right? And it's 10 of you because it's a party or whatever. It's a party drink. And you have to look everyone in the eye. And also it's bad sex, right? And then you gotta go, hey, happy birthday, salute. And then it's a minute or more of this. That's insane! That to me is insane. We're animals! I know you gotta put your finger in there, but that's insane to me. Imagine we use Jello shots to toast at weddings. Imagine, hey, oh my God, Bruno, man, you're my rock buddy. Hey, man, I'm so happy you found Barbara. Holy hell, man, Barbara, you hung out with my mother. You gave her the kidney, man. You're fucking great. Salute. It really undercuts it. Really undercuts it. I'm trying to have some sex. I'm trying to have some sex. No segues. Hey, good word. Do you do comedy? Segue. Holy hell. I'm trying to have some sex. There's sex out there. I'm trying to have it. I'm on the apps. I'm using the apps. I'm advertising on the apps. That's how I try to do it. I don't discriminate on the apps. If you have a face and a body on the app and it's a little bit in a photo, I'm like, whoa! Yeah! I swipe right, you're good in my book for the app. I don't discriminate, I don't care. But I've noticed something, and don't come after me. There's a lot of white women out there who make me upset on those apps. And don't come after me, we love white women, they're great! They're great! There's something that upsets me though, with like a few % of them, and it's this. I've noticed on the apps, there's a lot of pictures that white women put up where it's them, I guess they're on sabbatical, because they're surrounded by black or often brown children. And they're like, dude, hey, look, look at the good work that I'm doing with all these children. Look at these children that I'm with. This is a website to get dick or pussy, by the way. Look at me, look at the good work that I'm doing. Look at these children that I taught for a semester or whatever. How come I've never matched with that lady? Think about that. Who is that picture for if it's not for me? That's virtue signaling of the highest degree. If you have a photo like that, you gotta swipe right on every brother that likes you. Anyway, maybe she doesn't want to bring her work home with her, you know? You guys have been great. I'm Chris Sandiford. Thanks so much. You're gonna love Craig.
All right. So excited to have this guest. He's done stand-up all over the world. You might also recognize him from What We Do in the Shadows, Jack Ryan, Cavendish, and he spent the first half of 2021 in Australia shooting a new series as a series regular in Melissa McCarthy's upcoming show. Please give a warm welcome for Mr. Chris Sandiford. There he is.
Wow.
Twice in one day. I saw you about an hour ago here in the studio, and you rushed home to go hop on a podcast.
I didn't even rush home. I left your house and I ate I ate 2 Liberty Shawarma. Do you know that Monday deal? I did not know.
Buddy,
guys, I'm here to advertise for Liberty Shawarma now because it's right near you.
Hang on one sec. If you only knew, great minds think alike.
About you got the Monday deal?
Of course. 2 chicken shawarmas. They are not a sponsor, by the way, but maybe after this they will be.
They're not a sponsor. And
I ate one.
And that size there is deceptive because Lars is a bit taller and kind of bigger. Those are big shawarmas.
They're pretty good.
Big shawarmas, baby, for $12. Two.
I ate one pre-show, and I was gonna save one for after the show. But now that I got it in my hand, I'm just gonna take a big old bite.
Yeah, well, you have me. Honestly, I scarfed mine. I went to Liberty Shawarma, scarfed them, and I was like, "Shit, I got to do like I want to fall asleep now. I got to do this." So I apologize. I'm a little low energy. You put my clip up, and I almost fell asleep watching my own clip. And there's some of those jokes. Not a lot of people know the coffee thing anymore. Coffee, they've fixed it. They've fixed coffee.
I was thinking that actually.
I don't tell that joke anymore because in the year since that video was shot, I noticed Starbucks was the biggest one that used to do that, where you'd like, here's your coffee, and it was like naked, like it would have no lid. They've pretty much stopped doing that, and I wonder if is it a COVID thing? Like they don't put them out anymore?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Probably. They don't want hands all over everything. Like somebody, you pick up a lid and it's not the right one, then you put it down after you coughed on it, and then someone else puts it on yours.
Or I'm noticing they're all like it's a one size fits all situation. Like there's a Balzac's near me. Watch your mouth. What did you say to me? Balzac's. There's a Balzac's near me. Watch your mouth. Where it's like literally any lid you grab in that place fits on a coffee. So that's kind of nice.
Which is the way that it should work. You make the opening to the cup the same size, and you just make the cup taller or shorter.
You taper it. You do whatever. Yeah. So there you go.
Right.
Thanks for showing that clip. It's weird. I hate watching stand-up of me, which is silly because I love doing stand-up and I want people to come and see me and pay to see me and like me. But it's hard to watch videos sometimes. And that one I hadn't seen in a while. So bless your heart.
And that one, I remember you telling me about that after you got back from LA, because that was in Burbank at Flappers. Yeah. So that's always extra special when you're doing it in LA there.
That's true. Fun. Yeah. I got to go there. I mean, this is pre-pandemic time, so you could travel freely and not wear a mask. Remember? Oh my God.
No, I don't. I don't remember.
No, I don't.
No, you don't. I know it's been so goddamn. I remember.
Right.
We got there. How I got there.
We got an interesting comment from Adam again. Chris is top of the tits. Love that he used the word flummoxed. Did you use the word flummoxed? Is that even a word? I
did. That was in the set there. Wow. This Adam Daniel Meze guy is he a robot? Top of the tits. Is that a real, that an expression?
He is not a bot. Adam's a Toronto. He's a Toronto-based actor here, a regular at the studio,
regular here,
and a regular on the podcast too. So.
Okay. Well, there you go. I noticed that he said I had a Cuba Gooding Jr. thing going on. I don't know what he means by that. But if he means Oscar worthy, I'll take it.
I think that's it.
It means that you want us to show you the money.
There he is. We'll take a break. We'll be right back after this. Stick around.
All right, Chris. We like to do something off the top here called 1 minute life story. Brandon's going to throw a stopwatch, 1 minute on the clock, and you can tell us from birth right up until now about the life of Chris Sandiford. Here is Chris Sandiford's 1 minute life story starting now.
Okay, Chris Sandiford was born August 5th, 1987 in the Jewish General Hospital in Montreal, Quebec during the heat wave of that year. And now I'm here doing this, so not much. You can stop the clock. I did it. Who's done it in the fastest time? I know it's not a race.
We got to fill the time. You got 40 seconds left.
Yeah, 40
All
seconds.
right. Well, I was messing around just to toy with you because I can do this in 30 seconds. After that, I dicked around in high school. I wanted to be a funny person my whole life. I ended up going to film school in Montreal, and after that, I started doing stand-up. I didn't want to make films so much anymore because I wanted to be the author of my own words and say them and rehearse them. And from that, I found an agent and did a lot of commercials. And that was about 10 years ago. And now I've, found a lovely life. I'm living a charmed life where I'm just, booking some TV and writing some stuff and, loving life and being here on the show.
Yeah.
Boom, nailed it.
Yeah. I mean, I really glossed over that, my 10 years at Shawshank, but no one wants to hear about that.
No, it's not really as interesting as your life.
And there was
crazy time. Some guy broke out of there. It was really wild. It was really nuts. But
Oh wow.
Old Chris Sandiford crawled 800 meters full of shit to get out of there.
Of shit. No, but that's where that's where the story changes. I wouldn't have done that. I would absolutely have stayed in the prison.
Yeah.
I don't know, when you watch Shawshank, do you always think about how whenever I get to that point, first of all, it's always on TV. It's on AMC all the time, and if I ever catch it, I watch. Doesn't matter where it is. I watch the whole thing. There goes my afternoon, my night, whatever. But whenever it gets to that point where he's like escaping and he's bashing that rock in the sewage pipe and he's got to crawl through it, I'm like, A, how does he know this isn't going to like go down into just a cistern or like a reservoir of shit and water where he can't escape? How does he know it goes like, there's a lot of stuff that he knew that one would need to know. Or did he just go on faith and say, you know what, most drain pipes just go kind of horizontally for a half mile, Red says, a half mile. And does he go on faith? I guess because he was innocent. I don't think I could have done that.
Well, I mean, I guess because he sort of had connections before he went into the prison, right?
Yeah, he was a hotshot
maybe he got a blueprint of the prison before he actually went in there.
Or maybe Red got him a blueprint of the prison, because Red can get things.
Oh, Red can get anything. Yeah.
Red can get anything.
He was also in charge of the library, so maybe he had like
that's true.
The big book of sewer blueprints.
Yeah, that's true.
Actually, the correct answer, Chris, is there was an alternate ending where on escaping, he just falls into a pit and then he just lives out the rest of his life in a sewer pit.
In the pit, right.
And he never gets out.
Well, you know what? What a wild. That's the Stephen King twist that I was missing.
Right. They're like,
Frank Darabont had to change it. He had to make it a happy ending.
Right. Guy. Yeah. Let's rewrite this and see if we can find a more feel-good ending to this instead of
Shawshank Redemption with zombies.
Yeah. It's the same with the Mist. I read the novella The Mist by Stephen King, and at the end of that movie, it's much more sad. It's much more like they escape in a car, and he's with like a child and some people, and The Mist. The Mist, Brandon.
Yeah.
The premise, I suppose, just for the listener, is just, a cloud descends on a town, and it's just so thick and foggy, but there are monsters in it, and of all shapes and sizes, and it's horrible. It's an H.P. Lovecraftian nightmare. And at the end of it, these people are holed up in the shopping mall, and at the end, in the novella, they escape in a car, but the car runs out of fuel, and he has like a pistol with only enough bullets to kill everyone but himself. So he does that, and then in the novella, he has to live out his days in this foggy, New England landscape with hellish monsters and creatures coming after him, and that's the novella. But in the movie, do you guys remember what they do? They rewrote it.
Yes, I do.
They
shot everyone, and then the army came in right after he exited the car.
And they're just blowing the mist away.
Yeah, they're blowing the mist away. What the fuck is that?
It's like, it cleared up. And he's like, ostensibly, I guess that's a crazier ending, just because it's like, I didn't need, if we just waited a little.
I feel like that was a studio ending, to be honest.
That's a studio ending. It's like, we wanted to see the sun again.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Show that the army is capable of taking down whatever is possible.
This is a pro, industrial complex, military industrial complex movie. We took care of it. Too little, too late, but we took care of it. Yeah. So I wrote The Mist, and I also wrote Shawshank. Is that why I brought these?
It's The Mist,
Chris. Especially Shawshank.
Yeah, man. Big fan of the prison system. In terms of talking about it, not a fan of the prison system itself, but it's like it's such a lot to talk about, Yeah.
So, Chris, let's take us back. We're going to delve back into your life story. When was your very first performance as a kid? Not necessarily anything professional, but when was your first inkling of being a performer?
Shoot. I have photos. My mom has photos of me at like family parties, friends of families having parties where if I found something that was shaped like a microphone, I would like do jokes in front of them, like for real. I was like, I don't know where I got that idea. I think it's because like television raised me basically. And I remember at a very young age just being fascinated that someone could stand there and be listened to, but it's funny. It's not serious. Does that make sense? a lot of my childhood was watching, BET, comedy on BET. Because like I was a chubby black kid, in Kingston, Ontario, and there's not many black kids. Now there are. It's the diversity quotient is increasing there more and more, which is great. But at the time when I was a kid, not really. So it was like very refreshing to see these big flat black men, I'm talking Cedric the Entertainer and others who I can't name, who literally, the joke is, I feel like in comedic circles, it's like, no one sweats more than a black comedian. Even you can talk athletes, I don't care. A black comedian sweats like they have like a little rag, and that image is burned in my mind. And I used to watch those shows a lot, whatever it was, Def Jam and Comedy at the Apollo or whatever it was. Truly being like, this is incredible. I want to do something like this. So yeah, just at parties I would tell jokes, terrible jokes. Like I don't even like looking back. It's like, what did I know? Like, what's funny? Farts are funny and like sounds and things. What do I know? So thank God I must have thought I was pretty good because nothing could deter me. And the crowds couldn't have been that great.
Hey, you can win a crowd over with a fart. Like, do it.
And it wouldn't have even been, I couldn't do it on command. I would have had to have faked it or something. I honestly don't remember what I would have done. And my sister would do like literally we'd put on a show and I'd like MC it. And my sister would do like gymnastics because that was her thing. And other like neighborhood kids that we were friends with, we'd encourage them to do things as well. But I was like the ringleader. I like, let's put on a show. And like, I mean, when we were growing up, it was like parents drank openly. Not that they don't anymore, but it was cool. It was cool. Being a kid was cool when I was a kid. Because it's like, there was one family friend that would have parties a lot. Like their family would have parties a lot and we would go because we were just down the street. And they were also Caribbean. And they had a bar in their basement where they had like a sound system with a microphone. So they hated it, but like sometimes we'd interrupt it. And like I said, we'd put on a little show. And now so much so that I remember they were preempting it. It's like, okay, if you guys are going to put on your show, it has to be between this and this time. And anyway, it didn't deter us somehow. I don't know. And by us, I mean me. Did not deter me.
And look how far you've come. I'm sure right now, if it hasn't happened already, it'll happen at some point. There's some little kid maybe watching Laughing Vikings podcast and just saw that clip and was like, someday I want to be like him.
Be like me. Oh my God. Being flummoxed at coffee lid sizes. I guarantee you no kid is saying this is what star they want to hitch their wagon to. The neuroses of this boy. But that's very nice of you to say. I appreciate that.
So that was your what you call your amateur start. When did you make the transition into paid gigs? And do you remember your very first paid gig, the first time someone gave you money for any of this, whether it's acting or stand-up?
Whoa. No. I mean, the first kind of like official one would have been like in high school. Like we used to have coffee houses, which were, I don't know if that was a thing. So I grew up in Kingston, Ontario. And I went in high school and in middle school, we had like these like fundraising events. And one of them was called a coffee house, where literally it was an evening event and students would put on like an evening of shows. And it could be like a dance routine, or if you had like a band. I was also part of the ska band, so we were there a lot doing that sort of thing. I think literally my first paid gigs would have been part of that ska band. I played trombone in a ska band, which was pretty wild. We have a bunch of albums that are available on iTunes still, which is crazy. A friend of mine just pointed out, oh my God, you guys are on iTunes right now. We were good. It was a fun time.
We have something in common, Chris. We were both tromboners. Yes, I played it in grade 9.
Yeah.
And there was 3 of us in class, and none of us really wanted to be there. We took music because we thought we had to take music or art, and we weren't good at either. So we took music. And I specifically remember being in concerts, like whenever we do the Christmas concert, all 3 of us, none of us knew exactly what we were doing. So it was like all fake, like you do it and then you kind of look out of the corner of your eye and see where the guy next to you had his.
That guy's in 7th position. Okay. Yeah. And then you'd go too far and the thing would come apart and you'd be like, oh.
Right. Or a lot of people, I feel a lot of people in high school bands or any kind of amateur bands, if you didn't know what you were doing, you were just not blowing at all and just faking the whole time, and you just hope that the rest of the orchestra would carry you and no one would notice.
Well, that's the point of the orchestra, is many voices making one. And but I apologize, I don't echo your sentiments. I was very serious about band and drama. Like I'm the rare guy in my years at high school and middle school that did every art that I could, so that I was allowed to do. So truly drama and music all 4 years of high school. And then I took like extracurricular music. Like I did composing, like I wrote music in like middle school, all through high school. Even in university, I wrote like film scores. I wanted to a little bit play with those. I was like good at trombone for somebody who never really took formal lessons from like a private teacher. You know, I learned it in high school and just played it and learned. I knew how to read music because my mom made us my sister and I take piano lessons when we were young. We were like, you know, it's weird because art was never like the family business. Social work is technically. And my mom really kind of forced us in and I'm happy she did, because like not a lot of people know how to read music. And I know a lot of musicians who don't know how to read music. And I'm not a musician anymore, and I still know how to do that. Is that wild? But yeah, these coffee houses, just to go back to those, I would have done comedy at them as well. So legitimately, I remember my first set was at my high school, one of these high school evening. I don't know why they were called coffee houses, because it's not like it was the evening. What are you doing drinking coffee in the evening? Just set it back. But they did serve coffee, and I at the time hated coffee, so I wouldn't have any. But you know, they were chaperoned events, and like basically people would come, parents mostly, and like friends of other schools would come and just see their friends' bands or whatever. But yeah, I did stand up at every one that I could, which was 2 of them, and I'm sure I didn't make any money, but the evening would have made money, right? So I don't know. Maybe that
if the house made money, then
the
we
house
all
would have
made
made
money.
Yeah.
So that was the first time you were exploited for charity.
There we go. That's the rub.
Right.
After that, I really couldn't even tell you. I wouldn't have done stand-up until after university or during it, toward the end of it, truly, in Montreal. So yeah. Oh God, who knows when? It's bizarre. I feel bad that I don't exactly remember when someone put money in my hand, because I imagine that would be a really transformative moment. But for me, honestly, it was literally just I wanted the big important part of it was going up, doing your time, getting laughs, getting off, and feeling like, oh, I did something that was good, maybe, hopefully, and feeling inspired to keep going. Truly, that was all me and. I have to mention my favorite person in the whole world, my comedy brother, Dan Caron, who I don't know if you guys know, but he's a Montreal comic. And we lived together briefly in Montreal, and we started comedy, at least in my later life. I started again with him. Like, he brought me around. He's more a Montrealer than I was, so he kind of knew the spots and the mics. He always said it like this. It's like, let's just worry about being funny, and then everything else will kind of roll through. There's this whole thing with artists, you know, you got to know your worth, obviously, and you got to be able to ask for, you know, money, ask for pay, because it's work that you're doing. And that's 100%. I believe in that. I'm definitely bad at that though, because for me, it was just like, this is alchemy. It's truly alchemy. I'm just making up stuff. And so it does feel bizarre to ask for cash, because you're waxing poetic about, you know, what the hell was I talking about then? How Rob Ford was the Penguin, which is not even a good joke. But anyway, he was the mayor like the Penguin, so that was fun for me.
Yeah. I just don't want to see Rob Ford as the Penguin. I want to be the Penguin.
Oh my God, Brandon!
You'd be a good Penguin.
I love being Oswald Cobblepot.
What a friggin' role, man! Can you imagine? I would
any Batman villain would be so much fun.
I think you would be a hell of a Bane, man. You'd be one hell of a Bane. Yeah, I'm telling it like it is. I want to be Lex Luthor. If they ever make me, I'd love to be a cool young Lex Luthor.
That would be awesome. You'd be a great Lex Luthor. Yeah.
Nice. Brandon,
Chris,
you got a question yet?
What is the most interesting place you performed? Now, this could be something that's very creepy and weird that's happened to you, or something that's very positive, that was uplifting, but you weren't expecting it to happen whatsoever at this venue.
That's a good question. What is the most interesting place I have performed? I mean, well, now with COVID, I feel like everyone's doing comedy on rooftops and in alleyways where Chris Robinson refuses to give up the stage time. That certainly would be interesting. Yeah, I mean, Comedy Alley, not to plug it, but like that's a really kind of a unique space, which I don't think if it weren't for, if this pandemic didn't happen, I don't think, were you doing shows before the pandemic?
No, because it's an alley.
Yeah,
but who wanted to do a show in an alley?
That photograph you've got there is really a great example of like, it's a charming it's not an alley. It is like I suppose it is an alley, but it's elevated. It's not your classic. It's not like there's dumpsters back there. It's literally like a fire escape laneway that will descend into like, and there's a restaurant. You're above a restaurant, but you're right. It is like between two bricks and it's outside. Yeah, I don't even know how to answer that. I feel like, I was in Australia recently and I did a show in, you do a lot of shows in beer gardens there. And
you ever done a boat show?
I've never done any of these boat shows people are doing. I'm probably the only person that hasn't done one. I know, and you got your hat there. Hopefully you've done one.
Have I? Yeah. Have I? I don't know if I have. But shit, have I? I don't know that I have. Here's what I have done. I've taken a boat to a show. I did a show on I think it was Peely Island, down Point Peely, south of Windsor.
They've got great wine
and
there.
Yeah, they the venue, it was Jeff Leeson and I. They booked us kind of to co-headline, or like I opened with like 40 minutes and then Jeff did 45 to an hour. But they picked us up like on a speedboat, ripped us across. It was like a 20-minute boat ride. And then they had accommodations there. So we did the show at the bar. Then they put us up there. And the next morning they drove us home. It was super
amazing.
Cool.
See, I mean, amazing. I don't think I have. I mean, when this is over, I'm definitely going to be like, fuck, I should have said the time I did comedy in a hot air balloon that time or whatever.
Well, send a voice memo to Brandon and he'll edit it into the episode.
Okay, he'll edit it into here. Oh, you know what? I did comedy. I had an opportunity to do comedy. You're never going to believe it. It was...
What?
He's fucking with us.
I know he is, but I want to keep going with it.
And that was the craziest. Oh, that was so cool.
Wow,
that was so cool.
I can't believe that. Holy,
that was amazing, Chris.
I'll edit this part out that I'm explaining that. Yeah, so I'll send you a voice note, Brandon.
I don't know if I've answered this question, but now that I don't know if I've said this on the podcast. The island reminded me of it. I actually did a show in Cuba at a wedding, and it was one of the best experiences of my life. It was a long time ago. I think it was maybe 2013, 14. And it was a couple that were big fans of Jeff Leeson. And I was often doing shows with Jeff Leeson. And it was like around Christmas time, they came up to us after a show and they were like, hey, we're getting married. We're doing an all-inclusive thing in Cuba. And they're like, we're just wondering, like, if we could get you there, would you think about doing stand-up at our wedding for the family and friends and stuff? And I was like, fuck yeah, you don't even need to pay for accommodations. I'll sleep on the beach. Just get me to Cuba. So we got an all-inclusive. Jeff brought his girlfriend at the time. I was single at the time, but they paid for 3 people we flew with them. I think it was 40 family members and friends.
Whoa.
We did a show. I think if we arrived on a Saturday, we did a show, an hour show or an hour and a half show on a Sunday. And I think they got married on a Tuesday. And then that night we did another show that night, but we sort of themed it like a dating game kind of vibe to it.
I like a little theme.
They kind of make the bride and groom the star of the show, obviously. That was incredible. That's
cool. And like weddings are like, obviously I've certainly emceed a number of weddings and you add a comedy element, but I've certainly never done like all the weddings I've ever emceed, maybe 2 or 3, maybe if not 2 or 3, let's say. They're all in classic venues, and even like the comedy spaces, maybe the stranger places are like, some are outside in an alley, or some are like literally, like I said, a rooftop. I can't really be too specific about that. One time on a helicopter, maybe I'll talk about later. And
right.
Which didn't happen. I'm sorry. I don't know why I fibbed. Never even been on a helicopter.
Like, what? I can't hear you.
Yeah.
What?
I'm not with the thing so they can I don't know.
Yeah.
I did. I wanted to do stand up on. Do you guys know Airbus A380? It's if you're a plane nerd, if you're a jet aircraft nerd, before I board a plane, I like to know what type I'm taking because I love knowing. I just love knowing, and the bigger the better because it's fun. But there's a plane. It's kind of a newer one, but they stopped making it just because it's guzzling so much gas, and only certain airlines use it. But Emirates uses, and a bunch of other airlines, but certainly not Canada, and no American carriers use it. Airbus A380, and this is like. It's not jumbo jet. It's not 747, which is made by Boeing. But 747, it's got that little hump and there's an upstairs. This one is the fully double-decker one. Ooh. And I took that on the way back on one of my legs from Australia recently. And I really did consider, there was a bar in the back. The whole upstairs was business class. And there was a bar that you could just kind of congregate in the back. And I thought about like just standing up there and being like, hey, can I do a tight 5 on airline bars?
Right.
Anyway, it was I was delusional and I was drunk. You could drink. It's all gratis.
I think you should have done it. Next time, do it. Next time, listen to that whisper and take those people hostage and do a stand-up show.
It was a 14-hour flight, so
captive audience.
I could have done a tight hour.
Right.
Captive audience. Yeah, quite literally. Take that little phone that the stewardess is talking to, and if you look at the back of the plane, it's me, Chris Sandiford.
You'll see tonight's headliner, Chris Sandiford.
Somebody was telling me that voice that all pilots do is based on Chuck Yeager, the guy to break the sound barrier. Just because he's just so cool and he was so calm under pressure, and everyone was like, "Oh, let's just talk like him on the radio all the time." Hey, if you look out the left, there's absolutely nothing there. Isn't that fun?
That is fun. I like it.
But they can
downplay a cloud that I think kind of looks like Jesus.
Yeah. But it's like they're so cool and calm under pressure. It's like, oh, our engine's blown out. They can say anything and it's just like, oh, everything's all right. It's like, no, not everything's all right.
You might see a fire next to you. Don't even look at it. Just look the other way.
If you've been injured by the fire, we'll tend to you later. If we get to you, if we land safely, we'll get to you later, and that's a promise.
That's a promise. That's an airline guarantee.
Thank you for flying U.S. Airways, which is now defunct. Sully, did you see Sully? Yeah, that's now defunct. That airline. Yeah. So I was in Sully. I was in Shawshank.
Right. So actually, you have been a lot of things, and I wanted to mention that. For a lot of people in showbiz, especially, 2020 was their worst year of their career between having live shows wiped out and things being weird. But I feel like you had probably maybe one of your best years, certainly TV film wise. So let's talk about that. I know you shot a feature and was it in Montreal? Do you shoot that disaster?
Yeah, that's right.
The disaster feature.
Was so wild, man. I taped that for that. I auditioned for that feature at the beginning of 2020 before the pandemic. I think there were like whispers of like a mystery virus at the time. And then like a month later, everything was locked down. And then I learned that I got the feature like 6 months later or 7 months later. And then we shot it in November. That will be Moonfall, directed by legend of destruction, Roland Emmerich. And whatever you think about his movies, I went to film school because I loved Independence Day so much. I thought it was just so charming, and it's got that good American schlock in it. It's just so goddamn fun, and everyone's good in it, and I think the effects are really terrific. And I love aliens, and just even as a kid, I thought, wow, what a cool concept! These guys with their big, like city-sized spacecraft coming down. So that was really cool. That was I was in Montreal for like a month shooting that thing. I think 10 days of work, but there was a lot of like rehearsal stuff. There were stunts. And of course, because of COVID, everyone was like, okay, every shooting day, I'd shoot and then you had to go back to the hotel and sit. Like I wasn't allowed to do anything else. And that was at the height of the second wave.
Right.
And even before then, without that movie, it was like bombs away. I hate to say it. I think at the beginning of the pandemic, I had a movie, like a Christmas movie that was about to shoot that was canceled, that was postponed due to the pandemic. So there were like 2 to 3 months there that looked hairy for everybody, obviously, myself included. But then as soon as I knew I had work, as soon as things would open, I knew things would open. I thought, okay, at least I have that Christmas movie to look forward to, 4 days, whatever, of work. Which is great. And, if you're an actor, especially union, a couple days of work is like, it's all the difference between, feast and famine. And so I think I did the CERB thing for like 2 months. And the thing with CERB is you guys know, you couldn't draw on it if you made a certain amount of money. So as soon as I knew things were opening up and that movie was going to start in like July, I stopped CERB. And then it was bombs away. It was like, there was I don't think it's aired yet, but there was an Odd Squad, and there was a couple Tall Boys, and there was a couple like other little things here and there. And I was like, okay, this is we're back. I guess the business is back. Film brings a lot of money into cities and like wherever they're shooting. It's crazy. So I think that's basically why they were like, oh, this is essential. It's not essential, but I guess it is too, because people love content. So I'm a little torn.
Yeah, and I mean, they also have the money to adapt to all the COVID protocol too,
right?
So they could afford to test and to have all the extra strict protocol and all that kind of stuff too.
Exactly. Actually, for Moonfall, I think I read that their budget went up by like almost 10 million, like between 6 and 10 million, just to accommodate whatever that was. And that was like a success story too, but because I think they went the whole 60, 70-day shooting time with not one single case. And I remember one of my days, or a few of my days there, were like, it's this big NASA movie. So there's scenes of us in like that big NASA, picture it, big control room at Houston or whatever, with like 140 extras running around with their NASA badges and their suit and tie. They're doing their own thing. It's like, that was a lot of people to be in a room with at the height of the second wave. And I remember remarking to myself that I'm going to get this thing. I'm going to get this virus, I think. And it's like, for sure, there's no way. But no, they went the whole time with not a single case. Asterix, they had one false positive and had to shut down for 2 weeks. Wow. But it turned out to be a false, like it turned out later that it was false positive. So,
well, the only silver lining to getting it is if you were very lucky, you could be like, I got COVID from Halle fucking Berry.
Oh yeah, that's right. The listeners, you will be in
Halle Berry COVID. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't wait to see this thing. I'm like, look, you have to understand, whenever I get anything, I'm like, oh no, if people are gonna see it and realize that I'm bad. I think I audition well, and I think I am fun to be around, and I think I'm cool, not with a capital C. Like, I don't think I'm like, like the Fonz or anything. But I
think you're with a capital K. You're cool.
Yeah, like those cigarettes, cool. That brand of cigarettes. Yeah, exactly. Because I'm hacking up a lung, and no, I just think that you could put me on a set confidently, and I won't be a crazy person. And I used to work in casting in Montreal, actually, and that really, I don't like giving advice, and I also certainly don't like taking advice. That remains to be seen, actually. But if I could give any advice to anybody who's like trying to break in, and I'd say work at a casting place for a minute and just see, especially the lady that I worked for in Montreal, she was one of the more prominent ones, and it just felt like it really demystified the process for me, if it makes sense. You see what not to do. You see, there's great talent, obviously, and they want to put talent in the room. But if that talent comes with even a little bit of ego, for the most part, really try not to put them in the thing. And and you got to be cool. It's like, oh, can I put this person on the set with Darren Aronofsky? And if the answer is yes, then yeah, you'll do the thing and be cool. People are always like, oh, let's take pictures. Oh, I got to get a selfie with this guy. And it's like, no, your job is to be there and have moving pictures taken. What do you want pictures taken on your phone for? Later, soon enough, everyone's going to see the pictures somewhere, in the way that they'll look the best on the big screen or on the small screen or what have you. Right. Anyway.
Yeah, I'm sure you're a pleasure to be around on set. We love having you here in the studio as well. And one thing I've told you this a few times, you're very, very quick at picking up the words, and even if you just got a script, your cold read skills are great. You're able to take it off the page and make it seem natural. I think part of that is from being on set and having the experience of maybe being in the makeup chair, and they're like, here are the new sides. We're not shooting the scene that we were supposed to. Here's the new stuff, or we rewrote it, or we're shooting tomorrow's stuff today, and you just kind of got to like quickly figure it out and get it. But,
trial by fire, you have to. Yeah. But it's also, I think, as stand-ups too, we all kind of, it's easier to maybe, it's fight or flight, truly, where it's like, I got to do this. I got to win this in the few seconds that I have, I love,
Right.
Oh my God, I miss in-person auditions for that reason, actually.
Right.
I miss going into a room and like me right away.
Tell us a little bit about Australia, Chris. So you spent like what, 5-6 months in Australia shooting this new show?
All told, I was there for just over 4 months, and yeah, it was one of those other things. Again, like it was a Hail Mary audition. You get a couple of those a year, truly, where it's like, wow, wouldn't this be good to get? And I couldn't believe it. Yeah, Moonfall, and then this. And I don't know what was going on with the gods, or what I was looking like, or I don't know what was happening. I was auditioning really well, I guess. Who knows? But yeah, I was one of the least famous people in this cast for this new show that will come out. No, I mean, it's true. It's absolutely true. But in terms of the main cast, Melissa McCarthy and her husband produced this comedy series, limited series for Netflix. It will be called God's Favorite Idiot. I don't know how to describe it other than Anna, the other person in the cast, who I affectionately say that we were the two least famous people in the cast. She's from New Zealand, and we took to each other right away because, it's not like I'm going to right away be calling up Melissa and hanging out. She had her husband and her family there, and she was lovely, obviously. They were all lovely and great heroes. But the two of us would talk about how just incredible it was that's what are we doing here? Very strange, but lovely. I couldn't believe it.
Any interesting Australia experiences, or was it kind of also COVID lockdown? So it was on set and then nothing.
It became COVID lockdown toward the end, like literally, like right before I was going to come home, like 2 weeks before I was going to come home, things started locking down. But for the most part, no, it was like no masks, and everyone said, like it was a year of wearing masks for me at that point. And I got there and I thought, wow, it's going to be really hard to forget my mask. No, it took like a day. I was there for a day. It was summer because it was February here. It was February everywhere, I guess. Summer there. It was February here. But oddly, get this, it was Tuesday the whole time I was in Australia. That's fucked up. That's what they don't tell you. It's upside down. But I remember thinking, like, wow, it's summer all of a sudden. And the mask came off and I would forget it. And there were like a couple weeks, there were a few times where like there were like little scares, like there was a case in Brisbane or a case in Byron Bay, and like for the weekend or for like 5 days they'd like not lock down, but they'd be like masks. But then they'd squash the cases and then everything would go away. The worst it was literally I'd hear in Melbourne, in Victoria, that state, they'd lock down for a bit.
Right.
But I never made it out there. But that's apparently a really good comedy place. But in terms of experiences, I learned how to surf. I'm trying to let everyone know, if you want to take me surfing, I know the fundamentals now. And, I'm not good at reading the surf, but I know how to stand up on the board, which I'm really proud of. And I'm going to keep going with it. If I ever move to a place, it better have an ocean to surf on.
And the crazy thing about Australia is I feel like COVID's the least of your concerns because there's deadly spiders, deadly snakes, crocodiles, sharks, all these other things to worry about. COVID
that's
is
right.
not
No,
that's no big
I
deal.
did stand up on a surfboard. No, I didn't. No, I stood up on a surfboard is what I meant to say. You mixed my words up.
Right.
Yes, you're absolutely right. I fought a spider. I remember I came out of the shower one day and out of nowhere, a spider I'm exaggerating. It was big. It was chunky, not like a tarantula because those are slow moving and whatever. But this was like chunky, a little smaller than a tarantula, not as big as a huntsman, but it was fast. And I was like naked. And I remember I was holding an antiperspirant. And I was just rolling it on, and there it was. And all I had on me was this antiperspirant, and I used it but like I would slam it into the ground, and it would jump away. Like it was fast. It took minutes to get it. And spiders don't bother me normally. If they're just chilling, that's fine. But this was like encroaching, and it like was fast. So at that point, I'm like, nah, you're not allowed in here. I got it, but it took too long.
That's a good deodorant commercial right there. Just guy smashing his deodorant off of a spider.
I mean, really, you could have missed out on having Spider-Man powers. I'm just saying.
Ooh, you reckon?
Yeah.
You reckon I could have? That was
If
the
it,
one not to
it
kill.
leaped.
It
Like,
leapt, man. It was crazy. And there's
Yeah.
a few times I encountered spiders like that, but that was the craziest one when you're literally naked and it's like, I gotta kill. And I didn't want to lose it, you know? Like, I don't know if there's a lot of centipedes in this town. My last apartment was like, certainly not infested, but I'd see them like once a week. I'd see a big centipede. And if they noticed that you saw them or if they detected you, they were gone in a second. And I think Jackie Birico has a joke about how, like, you know, if she didn't kill it and it got away, she just knew it was somewhere growing. And, you know, and I was like, I know how she feels about that, because that's exactly what they do. Somebody else told me that they can live for like 6 or 7 years, those things, where it's like, okay, so if you don't get it, it lives and teaches others and its offspring and to get how to evade you. And no, I can't have that. I can't have them teaching a generation of young bugs how to stay away from me, how to like, you know, show themselves briefly, but then evade me. Just stay in the walls. Stay where I can't see you.
You need them to fear you, Chris. Like, you need to start yelling at them. Get out of there! Get out of here!
I wish they understood language, because then we could reason with them and make perhaps a live and let live policy with the bugs.
We can make a treaty with the spiders to kill the other bugs.
I was gonna say, you know what? It did not work in Starship Troopers. It ain't gonna fucking work now. I'll tell you that.
That's a good point. Good point.
Oh yeah, Starship Troopers. I did.
Shawshank.
What was the other one?
Oh, what was the other one?
The Mist.
Mist. Yeah. So, Chris, I know you mentioned not liking to give advice, but you've had a great career so far, and you're also probably admittedly just feeling like you're getting started, but you've put in 10, 12 years now in comedy and in TV and film. Your resume is great. What advice would you give to someone either starting out or someone sort of looking to get to the next level? And if that's odd, one way to think of it, someone sort of gave me the advice is, give advice to your former self, like where you were 10 years ago, or what advice would you give yourself back then that would help someone now?
Yeah, if I were talking to my old self, and my old self sort of already knew this, but didn't realize it, I suppose, because is that weird to say? Oh, I already knew everything I needed to know. No, that's not true. My heart is open. I'm happy to learn and change and grow. And hopefully more things will come from that. Yeah, I think for me, it's always been literally just focus on the thing that's making you happy about the craft. Especially with stand-up, like, you know, I'm not here to say that I'm the funniest guy in the world. I'm certainly not like, you know, a yucks guy or an absolute guy that's going around and touring all the time. But I do think that I'm funny, and I've been enjoying doing it for as long as I've done it. I love doing stand-up. I love watching good stand-up. I think for me, it's just, I'm never fooled by the people who are just running it on autopilot. Does that make sense? Who are just like, yeah, I'm happy to hear the same jokes over and over again because you're working it. That's part of the craft. You're trying to develop an act, and you're trying to see what works and see how you can change it to work it. And okay, maybe if I say it this way and this long, you know, but I guess what I'm getting at is just find the fun in it. Truly, like what's the part in you that literally that nucleus needs to be warmed by doing this, you know, and just nurture that. Truly, that's what I do with auditions. I love auditioning. Truly, you know what I love hearing comics say? I love when comics say that they hate auditioning, because then I get to say, okay, get out of my way. Because I love to audition.
Yeah.
And I like, let me at them. People say, I hate auditions. I hate commercial auditions. Yeah, I get it, you know, but that's the work. As soon as you get the thing, that's the easy part. You get the thing and everyone agrees, oh yeah, that's the guy. It's not work at that point. Sure, you got to get up early. You got to remember lines, and you have to show up and actually do work. I get it, but that's fun. You want that. That's what you want. The thing that's hard is to do all these auditions on spec, where you're guessing, and to me it's just find the fun in it, and people will see it. It'll shine through, and maybe that's cliche or a bit after school especially, but it's like, no man, if you're having fun with a thing and you're doing it for yourself, people see it and respond to it. And again, when I was working at that casting place, that's kind of what I learned. I'd say truly, like, the best people were, a lot of them had been doing it a long time, but a lot of them were just like, having fun acting, because it is fun to inhabit a different person for a bit, even if it's a crazy, down on their luck character. It is fun to see what you can, and crazy little things can kind of bring to life from a piece of paper. It's so fun. And I guess if you could just do that enough, if you do it consistently and enough, that'll rain dividends for years to come, I'd say.
Snapping for you, yes. Yeah, and you do exude that positive energy, Chris. And I know you mentioned you're like, is that a little too after school special, a little too cliche? If it is cliche, it's just because it's true. People who like, if you see someone on stage having fun, you see someone having fun in an audition room, you feel that. If you see someone's anxiety and their insecurities, then it reminds you of. Yeah, then you're like, oh, I remember feeling horrible like that. Oh, this, and then you feel bad for them, and you like pity them, and that's not a good feeling.
My friend Dan had to say, I literally used to host a show for 4 years in Montreal where every so often we'd host it together, but every other week I'd have a weird show where literally he'd be like, well, just have fun. Like, you know what I think you didn't do today? I don't think you were having fun today. And that's all it took. It was better than therapy. It was like, yeah, you're right. I was too in my head, or I was too focused on doing it for that person and not me. No, man, you'd surprise yourself. And I'm not talking to you or Brandon specifically, but anyone who's listening, even a past me or a future me, you'll surprise yourself. And you could be doing anything, even if it's the stupidest bit or the stupidest character or something dumb. So long as you're just doing it for yourself and finding the fun in it and making yourself joyful from it, that, oh my God.
And
it'll
speaking of joy and having the fun, every time you're in the self-tape studio here and we're running with you, you're one of the most fun people to work with. And I think, Brandon, do we have a little clip, a little highlight reel? So this is a blooper reel from some of Chris's. And if you don't love him after this, I mean, if you don't love him already, I don't know what's wrong with you. But if you don't love him after watching this, I don't know what's wrong with you.
What's the line?
Yes, that is exactly
One more time. I'm sorry.
Nice. Nice. You had a few of those today. That's what you like to do during a take. Whenever Chris trips on his words, he just goes into a. Then he's like, "Okay, ready to go again. Ready to go again."
Yeah.
Okay, ready when you are.
Because I know that I have a big fat tongue. I certainly don't have a stutter, but every so often I'll trip over a word. You got to get them out, baby. And I know I have like 1,000 of those a day to get out, so that's a little trick. To kind of encourage them all to spill out at once, so I don't do it again on the audition.
Love it. Little bit of a shameless plug here, but can you speak to people, maybe some actors out there who haven't been to Laughing Vikings or any place where you get some help with auditions?
Well, I'm glad you agree that this is a shameless plug, but I'm happy to do it because I believe in y'all. It's a great thing. Yeah. I remember, when did I move to Toronto? 4 years ago, just 4.5 years ago, I'd say. And I was always scrambling to put a tape together. And, if you have a studio or whatever at your house, that's fine. It's just, I was living by myself and I didn't have like a wall or whatever to put things up on. And it's tough to count on just a friend. And it is weird, as much as I'm sitting here saying, make it fun for yourself and just do it for yourself. You should be able to act in front of anybody, turn the spigot on and off or whatever. But it's also good to do everything you can to make the experience just easier to get into. So for me, literally, I think it was Jackie Pirico that recommended you guys to me like ages ago. We're like, oh yeah, I always go and have a tape, or some people, they have a certain level of tape that they will tape for, if that makes sense, that they'll go to a facility for. And at the beginning, I was doing that. Like I was going to you if it was like, okay, I think I just don't see a friend being able to camera operate and do this at the same time. Now I'm here all the time. I'm putting every tape down with you guys just because it's just, again, it's getting that off of my plate. And the more I can focus on just the fun and literally the fun of it, the more I can offset to you guys and or Laughing Vikings to take care of like the technical stuff. That's just more random access memory that I have now to enjoy myself. And I mean, how good is it that I can like, I mean, you have no idea what a weight off my shoulders it is, Brandon. Like the other day, friggin', you know, you were going to send me all these, you're going to send me a link or you'll send it off to whoever it is it needs to go to. And I leave that room, I leave that place on Queen Street and it's done. I consider the matter done. It's hugely a valuable thing. Like even when I was in Sydney, I like had to I found people, but it was like, because I was used to coming to you guys, I was like, no, I can't do this at my hotel or my Airbnb or whatever it is. No, it's been truly invaluable. Before by Laughing Vikings, it was, my little flat in Parkdale where I had to do it with the sun, which is not reasonable because, you know, in the winter, that's crazy. But now it's like, it's great. How many times a week am I with you guys? 3-4 times a week. It's like,
Probably, yeah.
I can't picture doing this any other way, truly. You guys have been, you've changed my lives. There you go. How's that for
we wouldn't want it any other way, Chris. We wouldn't want it any other way.
And you guys are great. And you guys, again, you make it fun. And I know that I can be really silly. And I don't, you know, whatever. It is, sometimes acting can be embarrassing. It's quite naked. It's quite, you know, you share a lot about yourself.
Vulnerable, yeah.
It's very vulnerable and whatever. And sure, you should be able to do that in front of anybody and be able to reproduce that in front of everybody. But, you know, again, anything you can do to make it easier to get to those places. And you guys specifically, in terms of now talking about the personalities behind, you know, the company, it's just very fun to see you guys and work with you. And you guys usually have a bunch of good ideas. So it doesn't just stop at the technical, you know, the technical spots. It's also just fun to come and tape.
Yeah, it's like home field advantage. I always wanted it to be like a clubhouse, like a basketball player might have his court in the back or his gym, and that's his workout where he goes into the zone, and here you got yours. So yeah, truly amazing. Yeah, that room, we make a lot of magic in there. We make a lot of, you know, the opposite of magic too, but but you know what, you got to take a lot of swings if you want to hit a couple of times, right? Yeah, a good chunk of change coming out of that room too, with all these bookings, whether it's TV, film, commercials, feature films. And
it's worth it if you book one thing. If you go every tape and you book one of them, it's worth it, man, because then some of that you got to invest back into my business, which is this. And then man, I don't ever question it. Truly, it's an easy decision.
Nice. Well, we'll pay you later for that beautiful plug.
My stacking money is on its way. Very good. See to it.
All right. Brandon, any other final questions here?
No final questions, but I do have a quote.
Oh, I have one more question for Chris. We do like to ask this. What is the thing, and I know we're going a little over time here, but I want to ask it. What is there a dream project that in your head you're like your perfect thing? Either you create it yourself or you write it, or what's the dream movie or the dream stand-up show? What's the like pie in the sky dream that you can put out there to the universe?
God. Honestly, I have maybe two answers. My first and quick answer is I'd love to host the Tonight Show. I'd love to be the host of one of these like late night talk shows. That was kind of my big driving dream when I was just purely doing stand-up. It's like, wow, wouldn't that be cool to just have a new suit every night and get my hair done every night and talk about who's in power. And
I could see you'd also make an amazing. You'd make an amazing game show host too. I could see you taking over for Steve Harvey and doing the feud.
I love. You know what? As much as I don't like Steve Harvey, I love him. I absolutely think he's so fun to watch, and I have a weird love-hate thing for him. But don't worry, I take that as a huge compliment. But I would love, I'd love to host like whatever Fallon is hosting right now. I'd love to host that show, or whatever Seth Meyers is hosting right now. I'd love to just the late night. Talk about someone's book. I love the idea. Roast the president. That would be amazing. But the longer answer to that is I'd love to do like a serious like sci-fi drama that's like, you know, transformative. Like if I could be in Dune, so Dune is coming out with Denis Villeneuve, starring or directed by Denis Villeneuve, you know, with Timmy. If I could be the Timothée Chalamet character in Dune, that would be so prestigious for me. I love that shit. I absolutely love big high concept sci-fi, but with believable, really actors in it, like actor with a capital A, which one of these days I'll become an actor with a capital A. But, you know, everybody, where there's serious people in it. Used to be sci-fi was just a Star Trek movie directed by someone you've never heard with just the TV show actors in it. And as much as I love those movies, they're not good. They're very poor films. And it wasn't until, what's his name, J.J. Abrams came along and said, no, these should be real. These should be like made seriously. And as much as I don't like his movies either, his Star Trek either, it seems like big sci-fi, you know, like I said, Dune, Arrival friggin' rocked.
Yeah, it did.
Stuff like that, where it's like really heady, kind of questioning some element of humanity, something that we're going through with society now, either in the
District
West or the world at large, whatever. I'd love to do something like that. And it's like, you're one of the top billed guys, and you know, you're not just flying a spaceship, although that's part of it. It's something having your cake and eat it too. It's like, I don't want to be an Avenger, but I really want to be, you know, some halfway to that, but then half my body in like a really heady, thoughtful sci-fi drama world. Does that make sense?
Love it.
That's kind of my
love it. Put it out there. We're putting it out there here.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Good vibes is going to come to you. You know what they say? If you say it on a podcast, it always comes true.
Well, look, I always said I wanted to be on a podcast, and now that I've done that, I'm going up, baby.
Yeah. All right, Brandon, you want to take us home with something here, yeah?
I do. I have a quote to inspire our week. In this world filled with hate, we must dare to hope. In a world filled with anger, we must dare to comfort. In a world filled with desire, we must still dare to dream. And in a world filled with distrust, we must still dare to believe. And I really love this quote today, because I've been seeing a lot of divide, especially in Toronto right now, where people are very upset with everyone and no one's really on the same team. And I feel like we all need to take that in a little bit, not think of anything that anyone has said to us personally and not take it personally. Don't be the bigger person in scenarios. If someone is yelling and screaming, try and be the calming presence. Don't go with the crowd. Don't just ignore it. Try and be there for someone else. And that's all you need to do. Open your heart, and your mind will open with it.
Love it. Yeah, I think everyone, especially right now, there's so much divisiveness, and I'm red and you're blue, and I'm for mask and you're anti-mask, and you're for vax and I'm anti-vax. Like, and if you're defining yourself,
you guys are vaxxed. Fuck. Double Pfizer.
Yeah,
Chris immediately leaves.
Yeah, what? I didn't know this was a vaccine podcast. Fucking hell. I'm joking. I'm joking to the listener.
If you weren't vaccinated before this, you are now. It's actually we've given you it through the feed right now.
You know what? That makes it my third shot. So,
right,
as Dr. Fauci said,
triple
you get
immune,
tenfold of antibodies, and it's 10 or 20-fold in some cases.
Right,
that's me, Dr. Fauci. Sorry.
And it is a complicated world, and these issues are complicated. But I think these days, I think all of us have to ask ourselves what. Everything you're saying or your actions or your thoughts, either coming from fear or they're coming from love. And if it's coming from fear, you really got to question that. Am I saying this based on fear? Am I doing this based on fear? Am I thinking this based on fear? Or am I doing, saying, and thinking based on love, and lean towards the love and find, and that again sounds after school especially, but it's cliche because it's true. And I think that's also a great way to analyze leadership as well, and who you're listening to. And if you're listening to someone, whether they're a politician or a corporate leader or something, if they're spouting divisiveness and things based on fear versus messages of love and hope and togetherness and moving forward. And I think this is also a lot of the news. We're all kind of tricked into thinking the world is constantly on fire, but even in the last year and a half, there's been some amazing things happening. It's not all doom and gloom. So just remember that. Sha-la-la-la.
Yeah, if I knew the theme to Dune, I would sing it, but I don't.
Right.
Just to bring it back to my
Well,
dream.
this has been a pleasure, Chris. We love you. We love having you in the studio. We love having you in the show. Congrats on such a great year, 2020 and 21.
I do appreciate it. You guys are a lot of the reason why it was such a lovely 2020 and 2021. So cheers. Thank you so much. Mazel tov. Hope it's a good final quarter of 2021.
Yeah. Listeners at home, make sure you follow us on all the podcast platforms. Catch us every week here live on Facebook and on YouTube. And make sure to go to laughingvikings.com/comedy alley and you'll get 50% off the stand-up shows. And those occasionally feature Mr. Chris Sandiford here in the alley. If we can ever get Chris Robinson off the stage.
Now, you know what? I think he's about to peak. He's about to do his middle. He's just getting through the middle hump there. So.
Right. All right. We'll see you next time. Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. No, you hang up.